When do we do that?
At the very beginning.
Hi, Bill.
Hi, good to see you. Good to see all of you.
Well, my clock says it's 6:30, so I'm going with it. Hello, it's 6:30. Time to start. Welcome to Planning and Zoning. My name is Rebecca. My council or committee members are Kim, Gerald, Larry, Lauren. And before we get started with our agenda item, I have Linda Oliver wanting to make a statement.
I know you're all looking forward to it. Because I've been thinking, and the time change has me in a foul mood, so.
Oh.
And she's not gonna take it out on me.
I was gonna say, please don't get it out on us. Nothing to do with the time change.
Since we don't have to deal intensely with what we usually have to deal with.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, I just want, okay, my name is Linda Oliver, for the record. I live on 3039. And we all know what we've been going through with potential subdivisions, one in particular. I know that the P&Z committee worked long and hard on setting standards for subdivisions. My question is now, why should it be limited to certain size subdivisions? Because let's face it, there's really nothing we can do to keep somebody from building a bunch of little bitty subdivisions and then they end up linked together. I think that the standards for a subdivision should be standards straight across the board. They should have a lot size limitation of 2 acres. I don't think that's extreme. At one point, one had to have 2 acres in order, because of the septic systems. But many places, townships, cities, subdivisions will have 2 acre limitations. 2 acre limitations. I moved over here from Gallery Gardens. No, I was not in one of the mansions over there. But if you were to ever drive through there, you have these huge, literally mansions with this much space between the houses, because I think you have to have 1 acre or 1.5 acres to build and everything, and they're just all squeezed in there. Why can't we have 2 acres? The other thing I'm concerned about is I was coming in after dark 2 different times recently. One time I came in from Seagoville, and I'm sure you all know the lights are in that one subdivision over there. I don't want to be sleeping with that in my backyard when they build a subdivision. I would like to see some restrictions set up for reasonable restrictions on lighting and where it can be directed. It was bad enough when it started at the corner store. The other night I was coming in from Cranville, and there's a new construction being built on 3039 on that side. I get my directions built up. I guess that would be the south side, would it be? Of the one side of the high school in town. And as you're coming out, now this is temporary and I know it, and they have it lit up to prevent theft, which I understand. But it looks like you're driving into it, coming down the farm road. You're driving straight into the light. So if we could get that, I probably should have just mentioned something to Jack about that. But don't point your lights up to the street like that, so we can drive. So basically, that's my bridging for tonight.
Okay.
But I take it seriously. I hope y'all do too. I think there's other people so many people are out of town on spring break right now, that we've been discussing some of this among ourselves and everything. We'd really like to see some of this put in place.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just walked in, I didn't know we had to sign up. And I don't think, I'm not gonna let everybody.
Do you think you're special?
Well, I didn't know we had to sign up. Can I?
Sure. Sure.
My deal is the same thing, it's the lot sizes, I think Bill Fleck thinks that everybody's against him, and I'm gonna tell you that I'm not. I think he is probably the best of the developers that we could be.
Excuse me while I move down here.
It could be so much worse. we all kind of disagree about this. If we did end up with D.R. Horton or Lenard or somebody like that, I just wish, I love the big size that he built. I just wish he would build them on a little bit bigger lot. Build a house that size, 3,500, 4,000 square foot, put 1,000 square foot building back there. It's no different than going to Crandall and having those little bitty city lots. At the end of the day, the houses are spaced the same amount apart. The houses are bigger, but they're still close together. So, you know, I've been talking to him a little bit, going, even if the city doesn't change it, I think you would get more support if you would build bigger lots with those big houses. If you have a house that's 2,500 square foot, build it on a 1 acre lot. But those big houses, I would stretch those out. Because at the end of the day, it's the same. If you take a small house and put it on a city lot, at the end of the day, they're spaced the same apart. Big houses take up all the lot. You can see that up there.
Right.
And that's basically all I got to say.
And that
about it.
goes to what I was saying about MDWG, if y'all ever want to take a field trip over there. Just some beautiful houses, might even see an NBA or NFL star over there, which several live over there. But that's exactly what it is. It's just like sitting like this in an old school movie theater.
There's a city in Collin County up there right now that just switched to 2 acre lots for the same reason. Because the developers they have there are building extremely big houses, and they just changed to 2 acre lots. And the Thorny now, you can't put any more city lots, they're all 1 acres now. They quit all of the city lots. Crandall's fixing to do the same thing. So, it's coming, we can't stop the development, and we all know that. We just don't want to look like Crandall at the end of the day,
Understood.
So question, it's not necessarily the lot size more so than it is the house that's being set on the lot. So you're ultimately wanting, if you're doing an acre lot, a maximum, which, I mean, we already have.
We talked about exactly what you're saying, like 2,500 on 1 acre, 3,000 on an acre and a half.
Well, we do have guidelines that are within certain regulations, so you're necessarily wanting, you know, I mean.
20%.
Right.
Your house and every other building on there can only occupy 20% of your lot.
I understand, but
So-
like you told me, that could be a 10,000 square foot house.
Right, it could be up to, because if you think.
If you put a 10,000 square foot house
Well,
on a lot, your neighbor is right there. Like, let's just for instance, on 3039, just drive through town. The newer subdivisions, like Bentry and those, and we're not picking on those people, the houses are close together. Back before the subdivisions were built, all of these lots around here, most every lot in town is 1.5 acres to 2 acres. Almost everything, all of Riverbend was 1.5 acres to 3 acres. Most everything was. Nobody went and buy those acre things. All of the developers stretched the lots out, made it bigger because they didn't want everything crunched together into little city lots.
Sure.
And they
But now we got all the new people that come in, and we're not picking on West, but we got the new people coming in and they're wanting to get the biggest bang for their buck. But what I've convinced him, and I think he might have it, at the end of the day, the appraisal's the same place. If you sell 1.5 acres, you're gonna get $150,000. Actually, it saves you money, because now you don't have to put in another water line, another driveway. At the end of the day, it saves you money. The price of the lot is the same. The city does better if we build big houses, get more tax dollars. The bigger the house, the more tax dollars.
That's great. The bigger the lots, the fewer traffic, less traffic we have.
Of course.
Because the traffic's just getting.
I think that's just where we're aiming at, and I know there's some kind of laws, rules, and regulations that you can't keep development out, and I don't think that's what anybody's trying to do. We just don't want, at the end of the day, everything to be scrunched up and just sitting on top. Most everybody in here probably lives on 1.5 acre, 2 acre lots. I know you live on a big piece, most everybody else probably lives on 2 acre lots. You probably live on 3 or 4 acres, don't you? Yeah, most everybody did. It only started when they started these subdivisions. We need to get a hold of it some way. Or at the end of the day, it's gonna look like, it's great, I like the size house. But when you take a 1,200 square foot building and then a 6,000 square foot house, it's pretty crazy.
Betsy, right now, a building setback from the sides is 15 feet.
I know.
And so if this house is 15 and this one's 15, then they're 30 feet apart.
And you know I was a builder for years. You know what they are in the city? 15 foot. I was kind of astonished by that 15 foot.
Okay. Do you have a suggestion? What do you think would be?
Well, I think that the side yards need to be bigger than that. In the city, they're 15 foot. That's what they are on a little bitty city lot. When I read that, I was kind of astonished that the side yards were that close together.
Go to a bigger lot with a bigger setback.
Well, even if you made the side yards bigger, you could, I mean, like I told Fletch, I think even if you come down to an acre and a half would be better. But 1 acre, like he said, you can put a 10,000 square foot house on it. But then you can touch your neighbor over there. That's where this lighting thing's gonna come about. Everybody's gonna have lights all over everybody and,
Betsy, what's your last name?
Denny, D-E-N-N-I-E.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak.
You betcha.
I didn't know we had signed up.
It's okay. We're a small crowd today. It's all right.
I'm gonna say it over again.
We are now going to discuss the agenda item. I shall now read the agenda item, discussion and review. The committee will discuss the zoning and land development regulations, including some wording changes, added definitions, and additions to the subdivision section regarding clearing trees, a plot plan needed if in a floodplain, and an executed development agreement prior to submitting a preliminary plat. Any other recommendations will be taken into consideration and presented to the City Council on March 23rd, 2026 at the regular council meeting. Hearings to approve and accept any changes will be held at the April 2026 meeting. Okay, so everyone was sent the recommended revisions or suggested revisions, and I hope we've all read through this already. So, what questions came up in your reading that you want to ask Pam or Jackie?
So, I have a question about the trees. On page 21,
Thank you.
section 3.4, the preliminary subdivision plat. So what is this, this is before anything has been developed, like it's not things that have already been developed on, or is it like starting with the subdivision?
You're gonna start with the new plat, either platting of the new subdivision or replat of existing lot. Because if you have, let's say, 5 acre lot, technically you can come in and replat it to be 3 acre, three lot in that spaces. But you have to put in streets and stuff. And that's when we want to look at the tree mitigation plan. Because if they cut an asset tree, they have to replace it with the same equal diameter.
And what's an asset tree?
An asset tree is like oaks, elm, maple, pecan. It's classified by the TCEQ as a native tree and then the asset. Now you cut both out, those scrap trees, we're not counting that. So we're going to require them to do the tree survey and ID the trunk size and what type of tree.
And this is new development, this is for new subdivisions.
Okay.
This is not for me at my house right now, if I want to go take a tree down.
This is just for new
Okay.
subdivisions that fit into our subdivision regulations. It's so it would just be for new development.
Okay.
Rebecca, can I ask something?
Sure.
So when did this idea come up?
Because,
When?
about years ago, that when they started clearing trees in,
So is this the same sort of thing that you and I were involved in trying to get a tree ordinance?
I believe this is what
Is-
what came of it,
Okay,
yes.
because at the time, that was not accepted at all. The idea of having a tree ordinance was completely, not acceptable to the council, to certain members of the council. So that's why I was just curious, because we worked really hard to come up with something very similar to this. And I was just wondering when it actually came through.
I think that part of the change, and I was there too, during that.
Yeah.
And was what's happening with the mining and everything now. It's like, I think the light bulb went off and some, so to speak, to say, oh, this could really happen. Someone come in, if that's their, plan is to.
Strip off.
Yeah, but
They
when you
did,
hear that.
they stripped it
Yeah,
over
so
there, they
yeah,
did do it.
yeah,
Okay, when you hear that, so anyway, I think that's the reason for this.
they
Well,
planted 642 acres,
My,
tree out.
Yeah, well, that was the whole point that we were trying to make, is that people will do that.
Right.
You can't assume that everybody loves trees and cares about.
Right.
In new subdivisions, like in Kaufman and Granville, you have to put in two-inch caliber trees when you build a house.
That they
When
put
we
in
were
fresh
building-
trees, they cut it
No,
down
they
beautiful.
were native, you had to put in two-inch, you couldn't put like
Right.
a magnolia tree, it had to be a native.
now, is that an HOA or is that the city?
No, that's the city started doing that. A lot of it is for, what would you call it, is it irrigation to keep wash and things like that from happening?
Yeah,
A lot of it was from that, and then just to make it look prettier.
I mean, I'm all for trees, I want trees. My only concern was, is it an overreach, is my main concern.
No,
Like, to tell somebody they can't cut down trees, does that kind of take down?
no, they can cut the asset tree, but they're gonna have to do planting the new tree. They say they cut a 6-inch oak, diameter oak. They're gonna come and plant 2 3-inch oak, or 3 2-inch oak.
Replace the
And
asset.
that's it.
And they typically need to bring a plan in to us, right?
Yeah, they're gonna have to do the tree survey, and they're gonna have to do what the tree mitigation plan. That's how many they're gonna cut, and where they're gonna replant those trees.
Now,
So it doesn't prevent them from building, because if they need to,
Right.
clear that area, building that it can.
Is there anything that talks about it? Just because I know the issues that we've had with our original, we're back here because things weren't clear. So is there anything that discusses the, replacing one of those trees?
Something very exact and clear, that,
Yes.
like, this is
That's what
everything you need to know about this.
would that be the mediation plan
Yeah.
that we're discussing? That,
So
I
that
assume
will
it's
be
still in
within that?
development.
Yeah, mitigation plan.
Mitigation plan, mm-hmm.
And that will be within that?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's somewhere, that way somebody,
Yeah,
to make sure we're all clear.
okay.
Yeah. They can cut the oak, and they can replace it with maple. So that'll be the same one. As long as the diameter trunk the same.
That's pretty standard.
Standard doesn't mean that, we need to take the environment into consideration too, as to what an old tree can do as opposed to a new plant.
Right.
And this is ultimately just for subdivisions too. It's not if somebody just purchased 5 acres for themselves and it was their piece of property.
Yeah, I think the new ordinance talk about the plot plan. So you buy an existing lot, you have to submit a plot plan. And in the plot plan, you need to show, are you cutting any tree down to create a path? If you do, then you can come under the ordinance and say, so you have to replace those trees as the trees you cut down. And we talked about, so I don't know if we're gonna put in the ordinance or not, they call it a tree bank. Because you can cut the tree down your lot, and you don't have room to put any more, like Wilfred's subdivision there. You can put those trees, let's say the cities have a lot here that needs a lot of tree, you can plant it here in lieu of yours. They call it a tree bank. That allows you to plant a tree in the public land. But we did not include in this ordinance, the tree bank we talked about. Yeah, you can include it if you
So
want.
it doesn't have to be on the lot, it can be in a tree bank.
I'm sorry?
It don't have to be on the lot, it can be anywhere.
Yeah, it's public land, parkland.
See, I see what she's saying, you're almost getting to the point of, it's like living in town again. I mean, you're making people do things that, what's somebody don't like trees?
Right, I mean, that's my thing.
Some people are allergic to
Some
trees.
people are allergic to certain when they come in, but I get that this portion is for subdivision, so I'm just wanting to make sure that this is not, if I go and buy 10 acres that is not in a subdivision, I'm literally just purchasing 10 acres in combine. If I want to go in and clear that entire lot for whatever reason, I want to put cows on it and a tree is not efficient for that, am I okay to do that, or is it just?
If you're not planting that 10 acre that you buy, I don't think we can say anything to it. Now.
If you're not, like, doing a subdivision, if you're not planning on it,
That's right.
okay.
Now, you might have to come under grading if you're gonna grading a lot of land within that 10 acre, then you have to submit grading plan.
And then it might come in as a
And
factor.
then you might, yeah.
Okay.
But we hope that you buy 10 acre, you will save as much tree you can.
Oh, of course, yes, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure that, I mean, everybody likes to have their options when they purchase their own land. I mean, that's the perk of you buying 10 acres or whatever. So if we start getting nitty-gritty about, oh, you can't cut down trees, like granted, I want all the trees, but I'm just making sure that it's not getting into that point, so, I mean, if it's not, and if this is just in the subdivision, then ultimately I'm okay with that, but again, just making sure that it's not,
Well, in the realm of subdivisions, we, as we continue to learn, we have to be as abundantly clear and, as controlling as within reason. Because with an entity coming in or a developer who is usually backed by a business, their mindset is going to be very different than you and I. And so putting these, it may seem a little restrictive to the developer, but we don't want to make it easy either.
right,
If they want to be here, then they basically got to earn their right and do what we say. Because otherwise, we continue to have all kinds of interesting things happen.
No, I totally agree with that, I see where she's going with that, but I agree with her too.
Yeah. Oh,
If
yeah.
you go out here and you
It's
buy
just
5 or
going.
6 acres and you just wanna build a house, a barn, and have some cows, you shouldn't be maybe go
Absolutely.
plant some trees on it.
well,
You're not gonna go take those, cause a lot of people, like you say, are allergic to trees. They
Right.
can't, they
And that's
can't.
a different,
City to live in.
Yeah.
right, and I mean, and
entirely.
I just wanted clarification that was
Right.
not going to be an issue for somebody outside of the subdivision, or even, for instance, I'm in a subdivision technically, so if I needed to cut down a tree, am I okay to do that? So I just wanted to make sure that this was the start of a subdivision, when they're in the planning process,
It's the developer phase, I think.
that is cool, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it is the paying the developer phase of it, to keep the
Yes.
developers from just clear cutting.
Yeah, this is preliminary plat.
For the
Very beginning.
developers,
Yeah, this
yeah.
is at the very
This is
beginning.
preventative medicine.
Preventative, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What other
Some
questions?
harder restrictions again.
What other
I am
questions?
good, that was my only
I'm not
question.
intending. Okay, I'm relying that you read it, and you'll only bring up.
Thank you, Rick.
gonna go through each page.
Okay, so I have a question. On page 4, all the changes, how does this affect the corner lot? You know, because some corner lots are kind of like a different shape, they're not your perfect lot, right? So how do these changes affect a corner lot or an abnormal shaped lot? Does that make sense?
On the corner lot, if you know how they're gonna turn the house to facing the street, the side, the house facing the street got to have 60-foot setback.
Mm-hmm.
And the other street will become side yard. Now, in the Bentry, we have 2 streets coming in, and then we make both of them a 60-foot. So it doesn't matter which way he turned the house, he still has to be within 60 foot.
That is my house.
Oh, that's your house?
Yes, it is. It was fun. It was beautiful. But yes, we have 60 feet from both streets.
Both streets, yeah. That should be the good way to do it on a corner lot.
Yeah.
That way allow you to put the house whichever the street you want to face it.
Yeah, I get it, but I just think that some lots are kind of funky looking, kind of like abnormal to where it's difficult to have the 60, 15, and 15. Like some of the new subdivisions, you know how we were looking at the new subdivisions? I just thought it was odd.
Well, we've had that happen, actually, I think it was in Victory, and so basically at some point in time, whoever, the developer or whatever, should come in and ask for a variance, get the variance before he sells it, you know, so that it's not on, so that you don't sell a lot to somebody that can't get a variance to build on it. So it should be up to the developer to say, okay, this is a weird shaped lot, so I can only do 10 foot, or I can only do 57 feet, or whatever it is in the front, and let P&Z decide, and you grant the variance, and that way, whoever buys it's ready to go.
It's already figured out.
Right.
So, okay, so on Robinson Road, right, there's a lot of 2-3 acre lots, but behind Robinson Road, behind that neighborhood, it's a pasture, which could eventually become new homes. So if you have small lots and their septic system will spray on the existing 2 or 3 acre lots, right?
On somebody else's lot? Okay, so no, they couldn't, they couldn't.
Okay.
They couldn't do that, so they can't even spray it on an easement, like a utility easement, they can't, that's why they're doing the 1 net acre now. So that they're, in the state or the county, that's a big part of the inspection process is this spray can only be on your property and not on anybody else's property or not on a utility easement. Even if it's on your property, if there's a utility easement on your property, it can't spray with that unless you get approval from the utility.
Unless you get an approval from it, so that would be a variance.
Yeah, no, it would just be, and I think there's some circumstances where you can get a letter from a utility company that's saying that that for whatever reason, it can spray on it, and then if you have that, then the city abides by that.
Like as an example, in Bentry, there is actually a creek going through the back of a few of our houses back there, and the septic is not allowed to spray in that creek. So they had to, like, when my friends were building, they had to do, like, some weird stuff and put it behind the creek and all kinds of stuff, so they have good regulations.
It's different though, I mean, because you can't, definitely can't, contaminate a creek.
No.
And that's what, with this 1 net acre rule, it's going to actually expand. Because they're not, 1 acre as a whole ain't gonna be sufficient. It's gonna end up stretching it to 1 1/4, maybe 1 1/2, depending on your easement.
Oh, so you think that?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
With the new 1 net acre rule,
So it's gonna stretch it probably one
it's
acre?
gonna increase, your lot as a whole will have to be larger. Because we can now only see the usable space as 1 acre. So that cannot include easements
Ponds.
and ponds, drainage. So there's a lot of varying things that are now excluded that would then, in that sense, increase the boundaries of your lot to meet. So you're, in some respects, this is going to kind of back in to a little bit to what you were discussing of
Right.
needing more space. Because these implications are going to have to increase lot.
That's what I was telling them the other day when we were talking about that. Everywhere I ever built, the easements were taken out. You couldn't, what Bill Clutch is talking about fencing that stuff, and put those fences, that is a no-no. You can't do that.
Right.
You can't fence that, they have to have an alleyway to go through there.
Right.
You can't put fences past there. And all of our lots were 1 acres and the utility easements were separate. That's how they are over there right now.
And that's what
The
we're moving
co-worker
to.
said his 15 foot is back there, it's not fence, he just mows it,
Sure.
so.
Yeah, that's on page 20, the overall 1 net.
The definition?
Yeah, in usable
Well,
surface area.
It's also on 4 for you as well. They have it in a couple of places.
There's like a strict definition as well.
Yes.
So do we have a definition of usable surface area?
It's in the definition section, on page.
Yeah, it is in the definition section, I saw that.
And I suppose now is a good time to ask, are we all clear on the definition? Because that, and the implications that are outlined.
Betsy,
Uh-huh.
the state of Texas says they recommend 1 acre.
Yeah,
That's what it's,
right,
Texas says. It's a minimum 1 acre is what they recommend.
recommend,
Right, that's what they say.
recommend.
That's right, and
Yeah.
if you could, had a smaller area, you would need to get a certified septic tank man to come out and figure your sprinklers and your 60-foot radius and whether or not it can stay on the property.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Well, having said that, Jack, this house up here on 1389, that's .77 acres, they got it listed as .77 acres. How did they get their septic tank on that?
Okay, so it's listed at .77 acres because they deducted the easements. However, their plat was done before the law came into stand, so the county who is enforcing this, the county says, no, we'll count it as a net acre, or as an acre, because it was platted before the law that says we had to deduct the easement. So the 7.7 is minus the easement that's on their property. So they still have an acre, it's just that it's not 1 net acre, but then, according to the county, since they had it platted before the law, then they were grandfathered in.
Now, I seen Philip Marler the other day, he's a real good friend of mine. They have this, and Pam probably knows about it, they have this new septic called a drip system. It's very expensive, but there is going to be some, he told me, there's going to be some places where that's used for, that some of these cities are gonna use them and do some 3/4 acre lots.
As of now,
Because the drip system.
as of now, the county says it doesn't matter what kind of septic.
Well, I know, but he said,
Yeah.
it's gonna come into fruition, that's the reason why they come up with the drip system.
Well, maybe, but now, it doesn't matter what kind of septic system you have to have 1 net acre, there's no,
Right,
there's
right.
no. So
They're
that's
the
what
same
we
at
know
some
now.
point.
Well, maybe so, yeah.
All of this looks good to me.
Are there, any questions from our right side? The ones on the left now? No?
What is the usable surface area?
You're all clear on what,
Yeah, we're clear,
Yep.
we're clear on what 1 net acre is.
were there any, thoughts on additions, modifications, or is it, are we okay as is?
I think we're okay as is. Pam was saying the tree mitigation, like what I was concerned about, it's written in that, so
You're feeling good about
I'm
that?
fine with that. If it's in that, I think we should be good.
Good.
Yes, now, okay, how are we gonna do this? I need a motion to recommend these changes for approval at the city council meeting.
I recommend,
Yeah.
I motion to recommend the, approval of these recommendations
All right.
at the council meeting.
Mary has given a second. May I have a vote?
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. Okay, so in that respect, I will go in for the city council on Monday and make the recommendation for approval. Any other matters? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Mary?
Motion.
Kim? All right. It was then, we're adjourned.